Hello, it's Friday before the 4th of July, and yesterday I completed My Utmost for His Highest, which is by Oswald Chambers. And this was a really good book, and the story of this guy, he died in 1917, and he was like 41 years old or something, 43. He was a chaplain to Allied troops in Egypt during World War I, and his wife was almost more an interesting story than he was. After his death, she compiled all his writings and basically put them out so that people could read them. And he died of appendicitis, and it's back in a time where if you got that, it was like a death sentence practically, right? And he was not able to physically communicate a lot of his stuff, and good thing his wife was able to push forward his works. And these are basically broken down into daily devotionals. And I always have a problem with daily devotional books. I can't read just a little bit. It's one page per day, designed to be a year's worth of material. And you could do it that way, I suppose, if you're reading other things. But if you're only reading this alone for a year, I think you're really doing yourself a disservice. What I did is I divided it up into half a month per day. So I got done with the whole book in 24 days, and it was easily doable. You could see each day of the week, is one page. So you got February 27, February 28, and you could read 15 of these in about 20 minutes, 30 minutes flat. And as far as being devoted to God, that's not asking much, 20, 30 minutes a day, right? If you're only reading one page, you could get through that in a minute and a half, and I don't think it's good enough to say I'm giving my utmost if I'm only reading one page. Nonetheless, good material in here. He covers all kinds of different topics, and it's not really separated by topics in any way, I don't believe, but he did have pages where you could feel themes, where they were kind of grouped together perhaps. And some of the things was like prayer and intercession, and let's see, there's an intro. I want to make sure I'm not incorrect about that index. I think it just goes right into the days. It went into his background, yeah, and then it just started basically January 1st and rolled along. But they were kind of grouped loosely in themes: prayer, intercession, how you should live your life, being a disciple as opposed to just being a believer, doing good works, and how to talk to God the right way, and just a lot of things in here. Really good book. It's kind of scripture light, I would say, because each page usually starts with a very short piece of scripture, like a fragment or whatever, and then throughout the one page of his lesson, if you could call it that, or mini sermon, he goes into maybe one or two other scriptures as reference. So you could look up the other scriptures as you're going, but for the most part it's him free-forming each page. And most of what he said I agreed with. There were occasional things I was kind of like, not so sure, because it was more opinion perhaps than direct scripture. But it was nonetheless a very good book, and I'm glad I read it, and worthwhile of not just taking it to the library and donating it. I'm probably going to give it to somebody in particular. I have to think about it. But highly recommend. Good book. I just completed Rick Warren's The Purpose-Driven Life, and I would say I enjoyed that book better than this one, but this is a lot of the same kind of concepts about being a disciple. So this book in particular is probably geared more to a Christian that's been a Christian a while, and where you're supposed to be, kind of measure yourself or whatever. So that's good for that. If you're a new believer, there is some new believer stuff in there. But like I say, it's peppered here and there throughout. So you really, if you wanted to get a certain thing out of this, you're probably going to have a little difficulty. But if you're just reading it and absorbing it as it comes, that's better.